Okay, Mom. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, guys. Welcome back.
Welcome to a new episode of Okay Mom Podcast.
Okay, Mom.
We missed you all. We hope you're doing well. Hina, how are you doing?
I am doing good. A little sniffly, but doing good. How are you doing?
Hina has a really cute, like, nasally voice. I love it.
Guys, it sounds so weird. It sounds so weird.
But I made her try, so hopefully that's
She did.
the way to go.
She made me try, and then she made me a triangle sandwich filled with, like, you know, that sabzi,
What is the best?
gajar, matar, pyaz. What else is
Aloo.
Aloo.
Aloo matar
You
gajar.
cannot go wrong.
It's
It
literally
tastes
my favorite
And it
subsidy.
had like spice in it. It was spicy. It was so good. It was so good.
It's literally like I love any kind of sabzi. Like
Sabzi is bomb.
bhindi, bangan.
Tori.
Is that tinde?
I don't know.
Oh, club tinde.
But we discussed Deen and we said we're not really huge fans.
I know, but
They're
I'll
odd.
still eat it.
I'll still eat it too.
Yeah.
I'll still eat it too. Gobi is good.
Gobi's elite.
Gobi aloo. Have you heard
Oh
gobi
my
aloo?
God, it's the
oh
best.
my God.
Have you ever had gobi chicken?
I have. It's
So
delicious.
good.
What about like bangan aloo?
I love bangan aloo. Oh, I love
love it.
bangan
It's so
aloo.
good. It's so
And
good.
I love it in all different kinds of ways. Some people take the whole bangan and they'll like roast it
Yeah.
and make it like that. But some people will mash it.
Ooh.
Give it to me in any way. Anyway,
Bangan.
guys, did you guys subscribe to the channel?
Yes.
We are slowly making our way to mission 25K. We would really appreciate it if you guys can help us out. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
Thank you. And please follow us and give us those 5 stars on Spotify. We would really appreciate it. Those ratings mean so much to us. You guys have no idea. And you know, the better ratings we get, the great content you guys have.
Absolutely.
And keep your eyes and ears peeled out because there might be some exclusive content coming out in a few weeks.
Ooh.
So y'all just stay tuned. You know, sometimes people are like, you guys don't post enough.
I know.
You gotta post in more.
That's what they are telling us. You know,
So-
we're trying to listen.
We're trying to listen and we're trying to make it work. So just keep your eyes peeled out for that. And make sure you're following us on all socials. We are on TikTok and Instagram and also Facebook, which if you're here from Facebook, cool, what's up?
We're on everything. We're just on everything.
We're everywhere. And also nowhere. Because we're homebodies and never want to leave the house.
You won't ever see us.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Welcome to the episode, guys.
Welcome to the episode. We got a good one. We always have a good one.
We know, I
We
know.
always have a good one. This topic, this is a really good topic.
I know.
Okay. So the question that we asked, okay, our viewers was, what's the hardest thing you've had to communicate with your parents? And y'all,
Yo.
for anyone, okay, this impacts everybody. It's not just Desi parents, but Desi parents, you know, they're different. Okay. They're built different. They are different. And it's very difficult at times to communicate things. We do not know how to.
We don't know.
And also they don't know. So
They don't know and we don't know. And we are constantly trying to get them to stop giving us bowls of fruit as a way to say sorry.
yes, it does not work. Does not work. It does work.
I mean, it works.
It does
We
work.
appreciate it.
Yes, we
But
appreciate
let's
it.
also talk about what happened.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. There's always going to be a lack of communication. Do you think it could actually get better?
I'm hoping it gets better with us being moms, like with our
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
I don't know if it'll completely go away. Maybe it'll be the generation after us.
But do you think that it could get better with our parents?
Oh, I don't know.
It was the silence that got
Yeah. The silence was loud, eh?
the crickets were chirping.
I want to say maybe, but I also am like realistically, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you can openly talk to them about certain things now and explain to them, but I think at the end of the day, they're human beings and they're always going to get defensive.
Yeah, I think they're going to get defensive. I also think it's just, it's not just like an age thing. I just think it's like it really does not make sense to them. Like it's such a different world.
I think it's just so hard for them to be at this age right now and then look back and be like, are you telling me that my entire life that I parented you, you're telling me I did it wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Point.
Like
Valid.
for them, I think that's just like a truth that they're not going to accept and that they're gonna constantly, which obviously given to their situations, they're gonna say, well, we did the best we could with what we had.
Yeah.
Which they did. Certain parents, right?
yeah.
Some maybe not, but mostly yes. But I think they I don't think we can see that change in them.
I think that there can be like small changes, but
Yeah.
not like a huge shift.
Can I also say,
Yeah.
I think that the small changes will also come when we let our guard down too.
Yeah, I think
It's
so
gotta
too.
be two-way.
I think it is a two-way thing, and sometimes I think we give up on it because we're so exhausted from constantly saying the same things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know, like it's not that serious. Like, if I want to wear this, I can wear this.
Yeah.
Or like, if I want to go out and stay late today, it's okay. It's all good. I'll call you 4 times, I promise. You know, like, it's small things like that.
Yeah.
But then you're constantly saying it, and then sometimes you see a small change, and then like the next time that change is gone.
Yeah, and it's back to square one.
Yeah. But I do think that, like, with some parents, not all parents, because some are really not like they've done not good things. Okay. But with some parents, I would say that, like, you still have to try, and you also have to give them grace like we give ourselves grace.
I agree.
It's very hard, but we have to consider that, like, they've come from a different time. So.
Yeah. And there are just going to be certain things like, you know, sometimes when I've seen a lot of TikToks of like grandparents.
Yeah.
And then they'll just like say things that they want to say in front of young kids.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it being like, you shouldn't be saying that in front of a young kid, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's not swear at 2-year-olds, not even at them, even around them.
Yeah,
Let's not do
true.
that.
That's
but
true.
it's just because that generation thought it was okay. It was for them, it was something that was normal for them.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it also depends on, like, the families that you grew up in, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, some families are still okay with that.
Yeah, I guess.
Which is like, that's just their bread and butter.
I guess so.
This and that and that and this. And we're not even talking about, like, the regular swear words. Like, the swear words in Punjabi are ruthless, guys.
Yo.
They're ruthless. Tell me how I don't know Punjabi properly. Like, I can understand it, but, like, the swear words I knew very well from A to Z. Okay.
Yo, Punjabi parents, I'm like, that's how we show you love. Or like, bring me that beepin' pani ka glass. And you're like, okay, I guess this is out of love.
That's hilarious.
All right, guys. Ready? You want to go first?
Okay.
All
let me go
right.
first. Okay. So, repeating the question again, what's the hardest thing you've had to communicate with your parents? One of the topics that most people brought up was the hardest thing to communicate was dating and not rushing into marriage. So, like, having the conversation with your parents that, hey, I'm dating someone, or is it okay to date? And maybe I don't want to get married right now. It's like that's a loaded thing for Desi families. It's so loaded. Like, I'm getting scared even just.
I don't think our generation of girls could have had that conversation with their parents. I don't know if like the generation now can. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think our generation, and maybe like women that are older than us, even men, I think it was really hard for us to go to our parents and be like, by the way, I'm dating someone.
But maybe they wouldn't say, I don't think they would ever use the term dating unless your parents are very like
liberal.
Truthfully, that's how it is, right? If they're very liberal, maybe they were like born and raised in Canada or America or a Western country, or any country themselves, right? Then maybe they would have a different point of view. But I think like the parents that are like Desi parents, okay? Like, I feel like for them, that concept of dating is like blasphemous.
Yeah, it is.
Major blasphemy.
100%.
So I don't think the kids would ever say like, hey mom, dating. Yeah. They would be like,
मैं date पे जा रही हूँ माँ, मैं date पे जा रही हूँ.
This is what you would say. You would say, मैं अपनी सहेली के साथ जा रही हूँ माँ खाना खाने.
And your mom like, कौन सी सहेली? And you
कहाँ पे, कहाँ जा रही हो, कब वापस आ रही हो, क्या पहन रही हो, वो क्या पहन रही है, वो कहाँ
and then
रहती है?
your saheli is either going to meet you at some random bus stop and pick you up, okay? Or is going to meet you 10 feet away from the house.
Facts.
Nowhere near the neighbors or your mom. Okay?
I love how you know this.
Yeah, that's what we do. Because there's no way that your saheli is going to pick you up at the front door.
It's not happening. So I think the way that it's said to first of all, no. You guys, did you have this conversation with your parents? Tell me if you did, because I think that conversation would be like.
And if you did, what did you say?
Yeah, what did you say?
What did your parents say?
And how quickly did you run to your bedroom and lock the door after that conversation?
And then you had a panic attack in your bedroom.
Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. Oh my God, that's scary.
Guys, I could not even. I could even.
Never in a million years could I be like, hey, mom and dad, I want to date. They'd be like, are you okay?
But how do you even tell your parents that you like someone? Oh, I don't even know how
so
you could,
awkward.
Like, how could you even say?
Oh,
mom,
that's a very awkward.
Yeah, like, oh, mom, like, मैं किसी को पसंद करती हूँ.
That's how you would say it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! You
I have a heart attack on this show.
You would say it as like, oh. I'm trying to think about how I would say this. How would I present this information? Okay, I would say. don't even know what I would say. I'd say, oh, like, this is like, oh, I met this person and he seems like a nice person. That's how I would say. I would never say I like him. I would just say he seems like a nice person and hope to God that my
she
mom would
gets
get the
it.
vibe. But this would be a mom conversation for me.
Oh,
the
what?
dad conversation. That conversation would not be had because I would hope that my mom would be like, let me talk to your dad for you. Because
Guys, or
No.
you approach your sibling, the older sibling.
yeah,
I don't know what it's like with like a brother sister duo, but if it's a sister or brother brother, then you guys can just go to one parent and be like, hey, listen, I think Uruje.
unless your sister rats you.
Oh God.
Unless you have a shady sister and she rats you out. Then I don't know.
Let's hope not. Okay.
I don't know.
Sisters come through.
Yeah, sisters come through.
We don't
talked
like
about this.
We don't like the snitching behavior.
No snitch sisters or brothers. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that the best approach would be to have the conversation with the mom because like
Yeah, I would.
you know,
I would.
like it's just a different bond. I feel. I mean,
yeah.
everyone's different.
But you know, somebody messaged us saying how it was easier for them to talk to their dad versus their mom. So I guess it depends.
I read that.
Yeah, it depends on your relationship. Some girls
yeah.
or guys even, they're just closer with their dad.
You know what though? It's odd because I hear a lot of girls that say, "Oh, our moms always said, if you like someone, let us know."
Yeah.
But when that day comes and you're like, "I like someone," then that day's like, "Get your butt back into your room. You like no one."
You know what else? Then you tell them, and now every single time you go out, they're gonna be like, who are you actually going with?
Oh.
Then the lies that you
Proceed with
start to
caution.
create.
Okay, but that's so true. Like, think about it. Now you've built up courage. It's taken you 3 months to build this courage to tell your parent, okay, I like this guy, okay? Or I like this girl. Now, every time you're on a phone call, every time they hear a murmur at night, okay?
Yo, every time you're on your phone.
Every time you're on your phone, every time you even walk out of the house, if there's a smile on your face and you're on the phone, you're gonna be watched, like a hawk.
Like a hawk. So
And it's not a good thing.
It's not. And the thing is, you have to time it well. So, like, I feel like you have to tell your parents when you and whoever you're with are like ready to also bring the families together.
100%.
But that's just like our experience with more conservative parents. I think other parents, it might be different. But I found that with a lot of people we know that have similar parents.
Yeah.
You had to only bring it up to your parents when you guys were ready to make that next step.
Yeah.
And if you weren't, then you're like, I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, and
until we're ready.
And then as a girl, you can't even, you're like, I gotta wait for the guy to tell his parents first. Because what if I'm ready, but he's like, I wasn't ready to take the next step. Then what the hell you tell your parents for? You know what I mean?
I could
So
never.
the guy's gotta step up, take that next step, and then the guy tells you, yeah, I'm ready to take the next step. I told my parents, okay? And then you kind of make it work.
Then you tell your parents.
If it comes out too early, then you're kind of screwing yourself.
You're gonna sabotage the whole
but now
thing.
let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. You are potentially dating this person in secret, okay? And you're at the mall together. You went to watch a movie.
Oh my God.
And then you walk in and you see somebody that you know. This has happened to so many of us.
Oh, I know. It's happening.
You see somebody you know. This person obviously speed dials your mama or your aunt or your uncle. They gotta be a snitch and snitch on you, okay? What do you do then? Because now the information has come out. You didn't want to let it out, but it's come out.
And am I serious in this relationship? Like we're ready to get married?
No, you're trying to see if you can be serious.
I think that I would just tell my mom, look, I thought I wanted to like get to know this person because I'm at that age to get married. But yo, would I get in trouble? Would I get beats? Yeah, facts.
Get in trouble.
I would get
but like,
big
what if
trouble.
you weren't like super old? Like, what if you're not like at the marriage age, which whatever that is? Right?
I know, but I think you always have to spin it that way because you can't.
I think you have to.
You have to always be like, listen, I was just like, whatever. He was in my study group. Okay. And we finished like studying or whatever, and we needed a break. So we just came to watch a movie. Oh my God, guys, I can't. I'm saying it so confidently right now, but honestly,
crying.
it would not happen.
I'm crying. I'm sitting here like, jhuti ladki. Honestly, what type of stuff? So you are at a study group and then you're like, let's go watch a movie together, sitting beside each other?
In the
For
dark.
what reason?
In the dark.
No, I would be like, girl, think of a better lie. Like,
What
think
would
of
you
a
say?
I
What
don't
would you
even know.
say?
I would probably be like, say, depends on how I was seen. Okay, but I don't know that.
No, let's just say you and him were just walking side by side out of the
Easy
movie theater.
peasy. I think I would just be like, yeah, I met a friend at the movie theater. There's no way in hell
Yeah,
that I would say, oh yeah, like I went to the movie theater with a guy. Like never in my ever I could not say it.
I know, but what if you guys were still like laughing and you can tell that like you guys walked out together?
Listen, deny. Unless you got that photograph that you sent it to my mama. Okay, but some of y'all are sneaky with your little
and even the aunties,
Yeah, even
just
though-
you gotta watch
Okay,
it.
But see, that was the great part about when we were younger.
Yeah.
There was no phone.
There was no phone.
There was no proof. Okay. There was
Plausible
still
deniability, guys.
plausible deniability, and there were still some people that would bring out their digital cameras because they thought they were the shiznit. Okay,
But
and
by the time they took the photo, you moved away.
and there were a lot of shady folk that I've encountered in my life. However, nowadays it's rough.
Click of a
Nowadays,
button,
it's
yo.
rough. Click of a button and sent. So by the time you made it home from that movie theater, your mom is waiting outside with a jutti. Like, good luck.
Oh my god.
Good luck.
Oh my god.
It's scary, yo. I'm getting scared
is
thinking
scary.
about it.
This is really scary.
I don't know. I thought maybe they wanted us to give them good advice and answers.
Guys,
we don't
listen.
have answers.
We don't have anything. We're just going through it and then getting heart palpitations
Yeah,
on the show.
I think I'm getting really scared. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay, but real talk. My piece of advice for this? Okay, maybe I'm giving the wrong advice. This is what I would do.
Okay.
I think first of all, when it comes to a relationship, right? If you're serious and you're like, I'm at the age I want to find somebody that I genuinely like vibe with.
Okay.
I think you never share anything with anyone.
Yeah.
With no one. No one needs to know until you're at the point that you're ready to like share it with people. Because I feel like the more people you share it with, the more drama it causes, the more people know. But I would only say that like if you're serious about someone, if you're just dating for the sake of dating, that's your prerogative. But like, I don't know, like I feel like if your parents are not okay with it, then there is a chance that they will find out. So you just have to mentally prepare for that volcanic eruption and it will come.
Oh, it will come.
Many good wishes to you all.
It will come. I think with dating, it's so tricky because the situation really depends on you as a person and your parents.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If you can have open communication somehow with your parents about it, then let them know. But if not, I don't know. We've been there, and it's not an easy conversation to have.
It's not an easy conversation to have. And I also think that, I mean, I would also say this message to like parents as well. Like, I'm not at that stage right now, right? So it's also easy for us to say, but like when we're at that stage, we might have a different perspective. But I do think that we've gone through with our parents, right? We've gone through other things. We've gone through like similar experiences as well, where it's like it's very hard to talk to them. So I think if you have children that are like at that age, like teenage years or like going into their 20s, I think you just have to like really build a good relationship with them, that they can have those conversations and you can have an open conversation with your kids. I think that's the minimum.
And I just feel like, I don't know. Okay. Dating itself is so hard now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really hard. Every single person who's like messaged us has been constantly telling us how hard it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have.
Story after story after story about how hard it is. So I just feel like maybe moving forward, like parents need to just know that it's so hard to find anyone otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to just like go out every single night and see all these random people, but I'm just saying if you're in a relationship and it's a solid relationship,
Yeah.
and you know moving forward that like you found the one, then it's better to have a conversation so that your parents are aware of it too.
I think so.
Because we are also the generation where if you found someone that was the one, but like let's say you weren't ready to tell your parents yet, then your parents are out here like looking for rishtas for you.
Oh, that's true.
And
too.
you're just quietly like sitting there in a rishta situation while you have like a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And that's not fair either. That's not fair to actually anybody involved. Not to the boy or girl walking into the home. Not to any sets of parent, because they're going in being like, hey, I'm looking for my son. And then meanwhile, the son has a girlfriend. Like that's not
that's
cool,
true.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like the open communication is there so that you're not disrupting other people's lives.
I actually agree with that. But then I also sometimes think that like there are certain situations where like a girl might not be able to tell her parents, or a guy might not be able to tell their parents because they understand their parents' temperament. And it's not one where they can openly communicate. Like how many times have you ever encountered a situation where like you want to tell your parents something, but you just know that telling them is going to cause more stress in both of your lives,
it's true.
unnecessary stress in both of your lives. It could be handled in a way different way, but they are just not capable of handling it in a calmer way. And they're going to implode and then they're going to explode. Okay. So then sometimes you're like, how do I keep everybody happy until the right moment? Sometimes you're waiting for the right moment. That's not the right way to do it. But then you're also like, I have to like gauge my surroundings. Like, what's going to happen? Is this going to benefit me if I say it right now? Maybe it's like still processing. Like, maybe, yes, we know we want to be together, but then the guy still has to tell his parents. So like, I need to bide my time, and my parents are still looking for other stuff. So it's like, it's so hard too.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And also, like, just to work up the nerve to even have this conversation with a parent, come on, that could take weeks. I swear, you know what? They need to have a brown James Bond. Because the way we live double lives,
Oh my.
guys, the way. What's the hardest thing that you've had to communicate with your parents? Letting me get a job in high school.
That was a hard thing.
Why is that so? That was so hard. God, only this is one of those if you know situations.
I swear, yeah. That was hard.
Using a dishwasher isn't cheating; it's just efficient. Why do parents not let us use
Electricity
dishwashers?
zaya ho rahi, pani zaya ho raha hai.
Okay, but it's actually more efficient to you run the dishwasher.
Then you know what they say? नहीं, जिस तरह हाथों से बर्तन धुलते ना, वो मशीन में नहीं धुलते.
No, I know that is what they say. That's what they would say. That's what they would say. I don't want to go to my rishtadar's house just because I don't want to.
Facts. Some of them. Sometimes they're just hard, but some of them, I won't go. I won't do it.
On like a Saturday night, do you really want to just spend it at rishtadar's house?
And honestly, that was their pastime. They would love doing that.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. The hardest thing for me is taking driving lessons with my Pakistan dad.
Oh man, I've done that.
Guys, I have not taken driving lessons with my dad and I refuse to.
I did take them with my dad.
And?
He was fine. He was fine with me. But there was a time I remember when my sister accidentally pressed, she was supposed to press the brake and she pressed the accelerator. And my dad was like, brake. And I'm sitting at the back like, oh my God, I cannot do this.
No, guys. I hired an auntie because I was like, I don't want my mom or my dad in the car. I will learn by myself.
No, but I did the same thing. So I did a few lessons with my dad and I was like, I can't do this. It's too much anxiety. It's too much. And then I got an auntie.
Yeah.
And I did it with her.
And one time I stepped out of the car after my mom was in the passenger seat. And mind you, like I had my G1 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was able to drive with her. And guys, that drive home was so stressful. It was so stressful. Okay. It was so stressful that I walked out of the car and like my legs were literally shaking. And I was like, I can never do this again. And to this day, I'm a mom of 3 kids and my mom is sitting in the passenger seat. Hi. The auntie noise? The auntie. Hi. Uruje, look both. And she is looking for me. I'm like, Mom, why are you looking both ways?
This is like parents.
I know. And then she'll block my view. And I'm like, Mom, I can't check my blind spot because you are checking my blind spot. Can I please drive?
God. This is so funny. But sometimes you do see like the dads are very like, did you read the sign to the right? What did that sign say? What did the sign say that you just, why are you going above the line?
Oh my God.
It's a full stop. You didn't even do a full stop. You did a rolling stop. If there was a policeman, you'd get a ticket. They always have to throw the jibes in.
Always.
And then you go for your test and they're standing there watching you. And sometimes you're like, God, if I don't pass,
Oh my God.
the bestie is like bestifying me. Like I can't
Did
even
you pass the first time?
Oh my, no, I didn't.
I didn't either.
I didn't. But then my dad was like, you're not going again until I think you're ready to go. And I was just like, and then the next time I booked it without even telling him. I swear to God, I booked it without even telling him. I'm like, I don't care, I'm doing it. And then I went and he dropped me and he's like, didn't I tell you that you're not going to go without me like asking me? And I'm like, yeah, I know, Dad, but like, I think I'm ready. And he's like, if you don't pass this, if you don't pass, like you are not doing this again. I'm telling you right now. And he was like, he wasn't angry, but he was like firm. Okay.
Yeah.
And the way I sat there and I was like, if I don't pass this, I will never drive. Like it was like that.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's gonna take me a year to get that because that man's not gonna let me get it. Okay. And I remember, like for me, it was like the parallel park was like the most anxiety.
So hard.
Okay? It's so hard. But once I got the parallel park, I was like smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And then I like got out of the car and I walked out. And then I looked at him. I was so calm, like no excitement, nothing. I walked out. I went up to him like, yeah. And he's like, pass okay, you got fail okay. I'm like, I passed, baby. And then he walked up and he's like, oh my God. Like, and then he was telling everyone, he's like, yeah, I told her that she'd never get a license again. So I kind of boosted her to get.
Oh, I love how they have to take credit now. They always have to do that.
So
when
funny.
you do something good, first they deny you,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, hell no, you're not doing this.
Yeah.
And then when you actually do well, they're like, I made you do it.
Meri bahadur bachchi.
Then it's, ye meri bachchi hai.
Yeah,
If you failed,
Meri peti.
ye meri biwi ki bachchi hai. Why do they do that? ये अपनी माँ की बेटी है. But if it's you, it's like, हाँ मेरा पुत्र.
Why am I crying? That's so funny.
Not all dals are made the same way. Rajma is Rajma, period. It's true, man.
Do you like rajma?
Yeah, I do.
It's like okay for me.
Like a hit or miss.
It's a hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
I love kidney beans, but I'm not like a huge fan at all.
I like it. I like anything. I'm like not picky. Oh my God, the hardest thing was to convince my parents to get an iPad.
Oh my God. The way they like technology and parents.
Technology and parents. Don't even ask them.
Don't even ask. It's like, when did y'all get a phone? Because I got it when I went to college.
I got it when I got my high school, my university acceptance letter.
Oh my God.
And then it was like, okay, now I'll go let you get a cell phone.
Yeah, and meanwhile, kiddies are like, Mom, I need a phone in grade 3.
Yeah, ये तो पैदा होते ही हाथ में phone होता है. I don't understand. You guys don't even earn it. We had to earn it.
The hardest thing to tell my parents was that I was not happy with my arranged marriage a year later. I had to write a letter to tell them.
Oh.
Yo, that's rough.
I mean, good for you for telling them.
Yeah.
And I actually appreciate that method.
I appreciate that too.
Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, if I need to like talk to somebody about something, I have to like write notes down. And so just so I can collect my thoughts, because you know, a lot of emotions can run through you when you're trying to have a conversation with someone. And nobody ever taught me this. I wish I learned this when I was a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Because maybe I could have had hard conversations a bit easier where I wouldn't let emotions cloud my judgment.
I'm just sitting here like, imagine having hard conversations with your parents and you're like sitting there with your, no. Like, I didn't like... It's like, give me that paper.
No, I don't think I would read it off of them, but maybe if I could write something out and hand it to them.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Right?
I would hope that they would take that message seriously though.
Yeah.
Because there was also a lot of people that said a similar situation where they had, it doesn't even have to be arranged, guys. We're not hating on arranged marriages, but like just anyone in general, like you're in a marriage with someone and then you feel like you're unhappy and having that conversation with your parents. I think sometimes that can be very difficult because some parents will say, just stay.
Yeah.
That's, I think, like a struggle that a lot of people face.
And you know what? I find that with our community especially, they generally ask you to stay unless it's like an extreme situation. Like if there's abuse involved, or if it was like cheating involved, or if there's like substance behavior and addictions, right? However, I will also say that another fault in our community is they will also overlook all of that and be like, no, you still have to stay. And this is where I feel like it's the greatest issue in relationships in our community, because parents will just be like, leaving is not an option. Leaving is absolutely not an option. And so how do you have a hard conversation with someone? Like, what if it was an arranged marriage and you realized this person is not it? I can't live my life with this person. And you don't have any kids yet. It's a year after. Then having that conversation with your parents is so hard, because what are you going to say? That you just don't like this person? What if there isn't
not a good enough reason, girl?
Yeah, especially for our parents, they'd be like, that's not, what do you mean you'll like this person? Don't worry. Just have kids. Have kids, you'll like this person.
But it's sad because I think a lot of the parents from like our parents' generation were in marriages, many of them that probably were not even happy marriages.
Right.
And so for them, it was like, no, we stayed. Why are you like sacrificing and staying? It's about compromise. But then I think everyone has a threshold. Like, I don't think anyone gets into a relationship to be like, I want to get separated or divorced. Like, I don't think people do that.
Yeah.
But I think what happens is that you realize after like a certain amount of time of you constantly putting efforts in that like something has not worked. And then at that point, you really do have to like be very brave and strong and have the courage to say it's not working. And it's not your parents' decision because they're not the ones spending their life with that person.
And
it's hard.
I love the vocabulary used because, guys, these two words are actually two different words, but people use it interchangeably.
Yeah.
Sacrifice or compromise. They're not the same thing.
No, they're not.
You can compromise in any single relationship in your life. You compromise if you have kids. You compromise your sleep. You compromise your schedule, your work. You put everything on pause. You'll do all that because you now have a baby that you have to take care of. Okay. And your sole purpose becomes that baby. You compromise in friendships. Okay. You compromise with your own parents. To compromise versus to sacrifice are two different things.
Yeah, I think so.
And a lot of people make larger sacrifices. Like they think, no, abuse is okay.
Yeah.
No, addiction is okay. It's okay. This is me sacrificing for the sake of my marriage. they're two different things.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's really important to recognize that, because, and at the same time, I think it's so hard to have a conversation with parents when you feel like all they did was have kids and then they sacrificed everything for their kids.
Yeah.
Right. And they forgot about their life and their happiness and their careers or anything they were doing. All of the unhappiness in their marriage, they ended up putting it all in their children.
Yeah.
Right. And we talked about this before, that they had no hobbies outside of their kids.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right. And so now I feel like a lot of them are looking at our generation and the generation after us being like, these kids don't know how to stay in relationships anymore.
Yeah. I think so too, because I think for them it's just like humne kitna seh liya apni zindagi mein, and it's like, you have, right? Granted. But then I also think you also sometimes, like, for example, let's say like an example of like abuse in any form, emotional, physical, sexual, any form, right? I think going through that's not like an accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like having to like sacrifice your mental, physical well-being and staying because you felt like, oh yeah, you know what, I sacrificed for the sake of my children. Like, my personal thought is like, no, you can't say that to your kids, that, oh, but look at what I did. I stayed in an abusive relationship just because I wanted to show you guys what it looks like to be together. What does that show your kids? It shows your kids, oh yeah, it's healthy to stay in an abusive relationship. And then when they get into relationships, they repeat the same patterns and behaviors. Or they think, oh yeah, that's what love is. Like, that's the only way that I can accept love, because that's all I know.
Or they feel guilty because you stayed for them.
Yeah.
And now they are going to carry this guilt forever, being like, wow, my mom went through or my dad, whoever went through so much abuse in their life because they didn't want to leave for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you carry that as a kid?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's really difficult as a child.
It's really difficult. And then I also think the guilt that parents put on kids to be like, you can't leave. Like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Like, I'm not going to be happy if you do this, or like, I'm not going to like support your decision. And it's so hard because like, as someone that's dealing with something like that, you feel so alienated and alone. And then you're just sitting there like, okay, so basically like, I'm making this life altering decision. I have zero support from the people that literally gave birth to me. So now I'm going to either trek through this alone, or I guess I'll just stay, because I'm technically being like emotionally manipulated and bullied into staying into something, because they're basically saying, if you leave a toxic relationship, then we will disown you. Yeah. Like, or we will be like, you know, we will not be happy with you, which is like, it's so horrible. It's so manipulative to say that to your children. And then when their children do stay and they become miserable, or they get like depression, anxiety, all these things, then they're like, well, why are you depressed and anxious? Like, you know, you choose to be happy, but there's so many different like facets to it. Like, it's not that easy and straightforward. It's very difficult.
I want to bring up the movie It Ends With Us. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
What's your take on it? Because we didn't talk about it last week.
We didn't talk about it last week. So I watched it, and I feel like I had a very similar opinion with you.
Okay.
Where I felt like they should have focused a lot more on the actual abuse, because in the book it was very detailed, and it's sad, but like, I think sometimes people need to see it, because when you haven't experienced it or gone through it, you literally look at things in a very different perspective. So I don't feel like they focused that much on it. It was still done well. I think one of the things that I really, really liked about it, spoiler alert, was that initially when she had gotten abused, the way that they showed it was, you would almost think as a viewer like, oh, that was nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't even touch her. Like, that's what you would say. But then later on, when she really reflected, you saw that, oh my God, he actually had like hit her. Yeah. And so I think that goes back to like the mindset of people that sometimes are in abusive relationships, where you might feel like, oh, but it wasn't that bad. You know, you tell yourself this stuff because you genuinely love someone. Right. But then in reality, like, when the fog is lifted and you really do look back, sometimes you're like, no, that was not okay. So I like that part of it. Yeah. But I do feel like they could have done a better job.
I actually really like the sister in the movie.
I liked the sister too, because she was like, don't be with him.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But, and again, spoiler alert. So this sister is actually in, have you watched the show Parks and Recreation?
I've watched a few episodes.
Okay, so she's in that show, and she's like a super just whatever character on the show. Okay, really funny. If you guys have watched the show, you guys know what I'm talking about because she's always like, "Money, please." I feel like anybody who's watched the show knows this. Anyways, so when I saw her in the movie, I was like, "Oh gosh, like her? She's gonna play this sister right now." But she ended up being like such a strong character.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say, Hassan Minaj sucked.
I was just about to bring it out.
Why is he such a Lallu in the movie?
I was like, God, why can't you just be a little bit more like, I think his character would have been better if he hadn't been so extremely over the top uppity.
And he's so like Fendi everywhere, Gucci everywhere. You see what he's wearing?
Yeah, I did see that.
I was ached out, Hassan.
I think maybe they were trying to like do something with his character, but I feel like if he had just like I get it too that like I read the book, so I'm like, but like I don't think in the book the character was that much.
He's just so over, man.
No, I just felt like I felt like he could have done a better job. I like him.
You know what it is? I'm actually like, okay, so I'm
a
a fan of Hassan Minaj, but recently I'm finding that his humor is not as funny to me anymore. I'm not really liking his content. I'm just finding it's not as entertaining as when he came out with The Homecoming on Netflix. Yeah. Like I feel like that was top tier Hassan, and now I'm just meh. Like
maybe it's because he's like going into other things now.
I know, but I don't think he's found his path. And this is the thing. So I feel like anything that he's experimenting with, I'm just not vibing with.
Yeah.
And when I saw him in the movie, I was like, yeah, bakwase.
No,
you're representing us and you just weren't.
I felt like he could have just if he had not been so excitable in the movie, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he had just been a little bit toned down in it, because I feel like the character was not like that.
I don't know. I haven't read the book.
I've read the book.
Okay.
I don't feel like the character was like that. Like the character was really like happy and stuff, but like it wasn't to that level. Like this was like over like the top level.
Yeah.
The movie was good. It just wasn't like it wasn't as good as the book. Obviously, it never is. But I think that like they should have really done better at like really like focusing on that
and
stuff.
Can I be honest, guys? I haven't read the book, right? So when it was coming up all over my socials, I actually thought it was like a girls' night.
Yeah,
let's get together, like love, like chick flick.
Like, oh, it's a rom-com. I'm like, it ain't a rom-com, girl. It's dark.
Yeah, actually, that's what I thought because I was like, oh, it's the way that they were showing like the chemistry between the main characters, and I was like, well, this is gonna be so good. Little did I know.
Little did you know.
And then I found some spoilers on TikTok. So before I watched it, I was like, okay, so there's something in here.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was underwhelmed because the topic was so serious. Yeah. And it wasn't until the end where they showed a few clips of like her reflecting on what actually happened. Where I was like, okay, but I felt like it just could have been better.
I felt like it could have been better. It's also because it's a movie. They can only put so much into that time.
Should have done a Netflix
series. I agree with that. But I also think that like there were certain parts that I was like, oh, this is good. But I'm not gonna lie to you. When I read the book and when I watched the movie, I was kind of like, Ryle, like I was rooting for you. I was like, and I felt bad for him because of the trauma that he'd gone through when he was a kid. Yeah. Okay. But even then I was like, Ryle, for the love of God.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end when she was just like, she has her baby and then she's sitting there and she's like, no. And she like does that to his face. I was like, damn, girl.
Yeah.
He needed it. He needed it. And she did it. And I said, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Because that's what it takes sometimes. You have to like come to, but I think as women, like getting to that part in your life when you're like, no, I've had enough is very hard.
Yeah, I know. And if I'm being honest, you know, when she was in the birthing room and he was there and he came to see the baby and stuff, I feel like in reality, that situation would look very different.
My God, I think so too.
And I know it's like a movie and they had to end it that way or the book ended that way, but in reality, I want to say a higher percentage of women will just stay because you're so high off of giving birth and you feel like it's such a beautiful moment, and then like the dad came and is witnessing this beautiful child that you and him have created together and you end up staying.
I think it's also that concept of like a family.
Yeah.
Like the concept of like an original, like, this is the father of my child. Right. We're all together. You as and it's not even as women, even as men, like you want to believe so much that the person that you love is going to change for you.
Right.
Everybody wants that. Like they're like, oh yeah, this is my person. They have flaws, but you know what? I'm going to help them. I am going to be there for them. They are going to change. I'm going to help them change. I'm going to be a supportive wife or a supportive husband. And then I think it's like very similar to when you're like dating someone, like if anyone has had like a boyfriend or girlfriend, sometimes what happens is that when you see things in that person that you know are not good, right? But you stay because you have this attachment to them. And then everyone can tell you a million times, this is not a good person. Okay. But for some reason you stay. Okay. And sometimes what happens is that you'll do this back and forth thing where break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back together. And then eventually you come to a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. And then you actually break. And I feel like that's how it is sometimes in like marriages as well, where like you do a back and forth. Okay, you do your little tango. And then eventually you come to a breaking point where you're like, no, I can't. But I think sometimes when you have that pressure, like just going back to like what the answer to that person, I think when you have that pressure from parents, you don't even have enough faith in your own self to make decisions for yourself because you spent your life making decisions to please your parents.
Exactly.
And that's the sad part.
But kudos to you for writing that letter. I hope everything's okay. We don't have a follow-up to that story.
Give us a follow-up.
We hope it went well because
we hope so.
It's really nice to also see a lot of people picking themselves.
I think so too.
Because it's very hard.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the times, even let's not even put relationships into the equation, even when it's like picking yourself when it comes to like, I want to do this career, not this one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have 4 kids. I want to have 2, whatever it is. I think women and men that are able to like be confident enough to say, you know what, this is the decision that I'm making. My parents don't agree with it, but this is my decision and it's best for me and my family. That takes a lot of courage and confidence because it's very hard upsetting your parents when you're so closely bonded to them.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys that do it. I mean, you don't have to be savages, like be rude about it, but like, you know, do it in a nice respectful way.
Respectfully so.
Yeah, respectfully be a savage.
His role as a father. After losing our mom, he remarried and he still thinks we have to take care of him. How do you have that conversation? That's hard.
Okay, you know what? I just feel like, you know what, as like a parent, you always want to, I don't know, for me, if you have a good relationship, you do want to be there for your parents. I don't think I could ever, I might have like a lot of things where I'm like, I don't agree with what they did here. I disagree with this. I disagree with this opinion. But ultimately for me, it's like, there's a level of respect that I have where it's like, they gave birth to me. You know what I mean? They raised me up. They gave me everything in my life. Like they really did. Whatever they could give me, they gave me. So for me, it's like, if I can be there for them and if I can be supportive for my parents when they grow older, like I would love to do that.
Right.
But I think that there's certain situations where certain parents have really manipulated their children and been very abusive and like really harmed their children in ways that like there's no recovery from that. And in those situations, I don't know if you can do those things.
Especially if you're in a situation like this where she said her mom passed away.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the dad went and remarried. And now you're kind of like, how do I still feel like I have to hold responsibility to take care of my dad when he remarried and there's somebody else in his life now? Now it's kind of like this weird stepmom, stepchild situation. And it's like, you hold a lot of resentment from your dad because you feel like he went and got remarried.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody is ever going to take the place of your mom.
Of course
right?
not. Yeah.
So now it's like, you're also an adult. So do I still feel like I have to take care of my dad? Or how do you set that boundary? How do you ask them to play the role of a dad and like be a caretaker for his kids?
But maybe it's more like, what does it mean by take care? Is it like he needs you to financially take care of him and the new wife?
I don't know.
Because girl,
I don't know.
Because
like you want me to work 3 jobs so that I take care of the home and pay for the mortgage?
That gets a little bit difficult, right? But okay, see, this is my thing. Like if, for example, someone's spouse passes away, right? And they don't want to be alone. And they are like, you know, it's been a while and I do want to find someone that makes me happy. I don't think there's an issue with that.
Right.
But I think if it's like, oh my God, like I need you to financially support me and my wife, I think that is...
Okay, let's say it's not financial support.
What
type
of support?
Let's say the dad gets remarried.
Yeah.
Okay, so you now have a stepmom in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, and you come downstairs and every single morning you are expected to like make everybody nashta and clean up after everyone. That's how you're taking care, and then pack your like parents' lunches because they're working. And you're 26, living in the home. How are you supposed to like that kind of a responsibility? Let's say it's not financial, but it's other responsibilities in the home that I will say weigh just as heavy as a financial responsibility.
They do weigh as heavy. Like, I mean, if you're at home and I mean, yeah, that's odd. But like, I'm just here like, but why? Why would they do this to you?
Right? Because, okay, let's say like your mom had gotten sick.
Yeah.
And so you did take on that responsibility while your mom was sick.
Yeah, but guys, mom is mom.
Mom is mom. Mom is mom. You'll do anything for your mom.
As long as she's a good mom.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, I think some way you have to say something.
You've got to say something.
Honestly, the parents would be like, how dare you talk about
That's the thing.
Move out. Just move out. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
how
know.
do you deal with that?
It's a really hard
Like,
situation.
it's easy to be like, oh yeah, have open communication. But how do you communicate with someone who's literally a brick wall?
And how do you communicate with someone when now there's like this rare adult in your life?
Oh man.
That's what's hard, because it's like, how am I supposed to tell my dad that I don't want to take responsibility for the kitchen? I'm just going to use that example. Okay. How do I tell my dad, I don't want to come downstairs and make all of you nashta anymore? It would be nice if everybody can kind of hold their own, while there's also like in your eyes, like an auntie sitting at that table.
I think you should try to build a relationship with the auntie and be like, hum dono milke karte hain.
Yeah. I mean, you could try something like that.
Unless she's like a
Cinderella story. Oh, what if it's that?
If it's that, then I would be so disappointed in my dad. Like, are you serious? You're gonna pick someone that treats your kids like crap?
But what if he doesn't know?
Puri dunya mein hote hain.
I know.
You pick that one.
But what if like in front of the dad, she's...
I would videotape her and show him. I would. If
Guys,
if
nanny
it came
cam that.
to that.
Nanny
if it
cam
came
that
to
shit.
that level. Nanny cam.
Nanny cam it.
What in the world? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna abuse me and then like think that I'm not gonna tell my dad?
Hmm.
But what if she does tell her dad? And then the dad's like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah. Or what if the dad is like,
You
well,
move out. You have to move out.
yeah.
You
Because
have
what
to.
if the dad is like, well, I remarried. Like, I'm not leaving and finding someone else now. Or
Girl,
whatever
you
the
gotta
case may
move
be.
out. You cannot do that to
It's a tough
yourself.
situation.
You can't
man.
do that to yourself. Like, that's like you're ruining your life.
Yeah, for real.
Because he's not gonna come around.
No, he won't.
Right?
This is the thing. You know how, okay, it goes back to what we originally said at the
Yeah.
beginning of this episode. Can parents change?
I think if they want to change, they can change. I do. I stand by it. I think, of course, it gets harder because
Yeah.
you're more set in your ways the older you get. But I don't think that people are incapable of change.
I don't think they're incapable of change. I just think after a certain point and when they've lived so much life, the unwillingness to change is
unwillingness.
Yeah.
But that's what
that
it is.
weighs
It's the
heavier.
unwillingness.
Yeah.
Right? It's not because they can't. Because look, how many hobbies are people taking up when they get older?
No, it's true.
Oh, we just learned how to golf. Oh, we're gardening now.
Oh, I'm
You
at the
didn't know how to garden.
YMCA.
That's what I'm saying. You
Or
don't know how to garden when you were like 40.
Yeah.
But you took it up now when you're 60. So you learned something. You have the capability to change. It's just how much you want to put into that one thing to change.
That's a tough conversation to have,
That's a
guys.
tough conversation, Lord.
When I got my period, I didn't know how to explain it and tell my mom. That's a big one.
That is a big one.
We don't talk about this
No,
in
we
our
don't.
community
We don't.
whatsoever.
We
And
don't talk about
just
it.
to piggyback off of it, somebody also wrote, having to tell my mom about the sex ed curriculum at school. We've never talked about this before. These go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. I feel
You
like
ever
that's
got that letter at school?
I got that letter, but I never had to have a conversation.
So were you exempted from these classes?
No, I wasn't. My
So-
parents did not exempt me from it. They were like, that's fine. But my parents were never like, let me sit and have a chat with you. They didn't do that.
Right, but back in the day, they also didn't have this conversation at like grade 3.
Fact.
You had them in grade 7.
Yeah.
But now they have them as young as grade 3
Yeah. Like,
or even grade 1 now.
yeah, no, it is. It is grade 1 because I remember they did. But you know what? I feel like this is my hot take on it. I think it depends on what's in the curriculum, right? Like, I would want to know what's in it. What are you teaching? What are you explaining?
Right.
I think there's certain reasons why I would say, like, I don't know, like, I don't even know where I stand on it. Like, you're kind of like, okay, like, you want your kids to be somewhat educated, but you also don't want to like take their innocence away.
And you know what it is? It highly depends on the educator.
Yeah.
Because, and I can say this, sometimes you want to teach your child
That's
in the
true as
way
well.
that you want to teach
The way
them
you
as a
feel
parent
comfortable. Yeah.
versus what you think may be said in a classroom setting that
I
you
agree.
cannot, that's out of your control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that is something that I have learned seeing it from both sides. And respectfully so. There are parents who are like, you know what, I will tell my children what I want to teach them at
Yeah.
what age. And that's totally cool. Guys, that's okay.
I think that's okay as well.
right. The exemption form is there for a reason.
Yeah.
You make that decision. You're the parent.
Yeah. I
Don't
agree.
let people in the education system persuade you otherwise. That's what I'm going
Yeah.
to say, right?
Yeah.
But if you feel or if you feel like you have a great relationship with the teacher and you want them to take on that role, by all means, they can do it. It's their job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just know where you're coming from with it. Also,
Yeah.
the Ontario curriculum is available in free PDF format online. Google it.
Her, Miss Sultan.
Yeah. Google it.
Telling
Google
you,
it's free.
good.
So if you need to know, go into the health curriculum and look at what would be taught.
I think that that's really important to like advocate for your child, because sometimes like even our parents, like I don't think they ever really did advocate for us.
No, I remember, I think I got the form in grade 5 and I was exempted.
Yeah.
My mom was like, no, I don't want her participating. So I remember I used to sit in the office.
Yeah.
But I also remember going back into the playground and nobody ever talked about what was said.
I have no recollection of even learning about it.
But I also feel like us, I'm going to say this, I feel like this is a general consensus. We've blacked out a lot of those memories.
I'm not even going to lie. Like those things would come up and I would just be sitting there like, this is just, I cannot.
Like heads were down.
Yeah.
Nobody, but I remember girls would like close their ears in the back of the classroom.
How was it in your grade 7 class? Because I feel like for our grade 7 class, they did girls separate and boys separate.
Yeah,
it was never together.
It was never together.
Yeah.
Because they usually, it's paired with your gym class.
Yeah.
So you would have a health class, and obviously there's usually like a male and female teacher, or however it is now. I don't know. That's how it was for us. And so our teacher would pull us and have a health class.
I mean, I
learned it in grade 7. But guys, I don't remember what I learned. I literally have blacked it out.
I don't remember what I learned.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we learned like certain things, like about like a period. What is it?
Yeah.
But even then, I was like, what is it?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I had my period for 2 years by then, so I was like, meh.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
like
not-
I think it was just. It was still very foreign.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
For me, it was like very foreign, but it wasn't talked about.
You want to know why? Because I got my period, and then it was just something that happened every single month. It was not like this is why it's happening. I think this is the difference. But then when you're sitting in health class, you're taught like this is what's happening to your body at this time. This is why you're experiencing pain. This is why you might have mood swings. Like then the actual science behind it was taught. But in my home, it was not ever said. It was not ever said that this is why, like, this is why we are now taught to like groom ourselves or like shave your armpits, like do all these things. Now it's like, oh, this is what puberty is.
Yeah.
This is the age that you're reaching at. And for us, it was like, oh, now you have to read namaz.
Yeah.
Now it's mandatory. I was like, oh, I guess.
And then when you're not reading it, you're like, what do I say?
Yeah, I know. Then you're sitting there like excuses in front of your other siblings being
Already
like,
read
I can't.
it.
Yeah. I can't. And then your brother's looking at you like the Azan just came out. What do you mean you already read it? Why did my sister lying to me?
No, for real. No, you know what? It was a very awkward situation. And like sometimes you'd be laying in bed with like the worst cramps. The worst. Like you're like on the verge of tears. Okay.
I was on
and
tears. Like I was crying.
And like this is a monthly thing. Okay. And your mom's like, if you had like a mom that was awesome, and my mom was awesome during these times, you know, she'd be like, let me make you a cup of chai. Let me get you a heating pad, this and that. And then your brothers are like, why does this happen to her every month? She's so faking it. You know, like, what's wrong with you? And you're sitting there like, you have it so good. You don't even understand.
Being a girl is so hard.
Yeah.
My mom was amazing. She'd actually let me stay home from school.
I love that.
She didn't even question. I'd be like, Mom, like, I really don't.
No,
She
I
was
think
like,
if
don't even worry about it.
I think if I told my mom, like, and I said, oh, I'm really having bad cramps, she would let me.
Yeah. My mom was totally cool about it. She never, ever made me go to school in that way or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember there'd be times where I would get it at school and I would just call my mom. She'd pick me up.
Yeah.
She was really
it's
good.
just like that. Like you're like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like
I loved it. My mom's been really good about it.
How painful it can be.
Oh my God, guys, it's so painful.
Some girls don't get cramps, and then the ones that do, y'all.
I was part of that group.
I was part of that group.
I had a few friends who'd be like, oh yeah, my period is like 3-4 days and it's so light and I don't get cramps. And I'd look at them like,
what type of jacked up bliss is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
why
can I ask some of your jeans? Because I am literally bleeding like crazy.
And it's like, it's such a hard time because you know what? I think there are so many emotions, right? You're also in that teenage phase. So there's already emotions, okay? And then you add that on top and then your hormones are like going crazy. And sometimes you don't understand, like, why am I crying today? Why am I crying? Why am I angry? Even now.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at your calendar, you're like, yep, sounds about right.
That's why. Or sometimes you just want to have like a tub of Ben and Jerry's and you're like, why am I being so fat?
Like, I fit into these jeans like 10 days ago, but today it's like I'm bloated.
Yeah.
You know? Like, what's going on?
The way I would have to hide pads when I had to go to the bathroom.
You're just shoving like into your pants, cover it with the shirt.
And then you're like walking like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like under your armpit and you're like walking around the hallway like this.
It's like, it's a very awkward conversation.
So
I
awkward.
also understand because sometimes I feel like there should be like, I don't know, like, do you think that with certain things there should be a level of like, like, what do you call that? Haya.
Yeah, there should be.
Right?
हाँ, थोड़ी सी तो शर्म होनी
Yeah,
चाहिए.
you should have a little bit of shadam, right?
Don't leave your pad open in the
No,
bathroom.
no, none of that, none of that. But I feel like it's important to have that, but I also think there's a lack of education too.
Yeah,
because I think
we gotta find a healthy balance.
We have to find a healthy balance. I say this because you know what, like I know it's like something that we don't really discuss a lot around men, right? But I actually sometimes feel like when you get older, if you're with a partner and they understand that that's like a difficult time for a woman, they can be a source of assistance and be there to help you, or like just understand that no, she needs like a day or two off because it's been rough today.
Yeah.
She needs that pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Yo, facts.
She needs a chai. Okay. She might need some extra presents too. So like
just
go into
hook up that heating pad and just let me be on the couch.
Maybe she's just crying because this is just how it is.
Even though we're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's a funny ass show. My wife is in tears for absolutely no reason.
I'm not gonna lie, I am that way.
I am that way
Are
too.
You like that too?
Yeah.
Like,
guys, I'll be watching the weirdest thing and I'm randomly like,
or like you're sitting there and like you just get sad.
You get so sad
about like, and then you're like, and then the next day you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. Or the next day I'm like is in a great mood and it's like, wow, I am really like I'm a really moody person.
Yeah, and then the way it's like, oh my God, people think that I have major mood swings because of this.
Well, I do.
We do. Prepare yourself.
You know what? I want somebody to chime in here. If you are a dad and you have daughters, I would love to know kind of how you would approach this topic once it's like time to have a conversation with your daughter.
You want to know something? I think that the best way for a dad to approach it is to have an open conversation.
Yeah.
You know why?
But you know what? Daughters get really like, ew, dad, I don't want to.
But if you have a great relationship with your daughter, right? It's because I don't think that I had that type of relationship where I could share something like that.
No way.
Like, I had a good relationship with my dad. Way better after I got married, for sure. Okay.
Same.
And then
he saw me as an adult.
Yeah. But I think that like it gets tricky because there's still certain things that you can't share.
Yeah.
But I think our generation of dads are like, they're really holding it down, I would say. Like a lot of them where like they have good bonds with their kids, especially their daughters. And I know it's an awkward conversation because it's kind of like a rite of passage almost as like a girl, right? Yeah. But I think if they can have that conversation and they can also do a little bit more to treat their daughters like really well during those days.
Yeah.
You know what it's going to do? It's going to show your daughter not to go after a custy who doesn't treat her well when she is on those days. Okay.
Louder.
That's what it's going to do. So I hope that the dads can have those conversations. Like you don't have to be like completely like, let me share everything, but it's a part of life.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have to be so closed off about it because it's something that we're like, you experience it.
Also, a lot of women go through complications with their period. And I feel like if you are in a home where you can't express that, then you grow up feeling very isolated.
Yeah.
Because what if you don't get your period normally every 28 days as quote unquote you're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And you also can't have a conversation with your parents about your period. Then how do you even address it?
Yeah.
And how do you tell them that like, I'm really worried, or when it comes, I'm on it for 3 months, or whatever the case may be. Like these could be very tough conversations. Yeah. But like you said, if you have a parent that you can go to and just be like, hey, listen, then they can help you like get things checked out. They can help you make you feel better.
Support system.
Yes.
Because there's like things like PCOS. Do you know how many people have PCOS, guys?
Mm-hmm.
It's struggle city out there.
Yeah.
Okay? And like the side effects of PCOS, it's like you have like a lot of like hair loss, you could have a lot more hair, like it's just you gain a lot of weight, there's like this major hormone imbalance, there's so many things going on, like your periods could be like last for months, they could not come, like it's just so many things that kind of come into play, or like endometriosis, or like all these things that come up. It's just a way for you to educate the people around you and to make them more comfortable with this conversation, because this impacts so many women. So many women go through issues like this, and it's important for other men to acknowledge and understand that like this is a really difficult thing for women to go through. Y'all, if you had to go through it, you wouldn't be able to, let me tell you.
That's why they don't go through it.
That's why they don't go
Allah knows.
We need to bring back that contraction stimulator.
Yo, remember that? Guys, that was so long ago.
When you put it on?
Do you remember when I put it on?
Like, it was brutal.
It is. Yeah, it is.
I didn't even want to because I was like, I can't handle it.
I know. It's crazy. And that it wasn't even like the real type of pain.
Yeah.
It's just a stimulator.
Do you think it was more similar to cramps or like
Yeah.
labor?
No, cramps. It wasn't close to labor whatsoever.
Lord
Guys,
have
nothing
mercy.
is close to labor.
Nothing is close to labor. Oh my God. Do you want to know something wild?
Tell
Okay.
me.
Random that I have brought this up. Okay. So sometimes you're on TikTok and videos come up. I saw this video on TikTok, okay, where there was this girl and she was having a baby and she was with her boyfriend, okay, and they were young. I think they were like teenagers. Okay. And this girl was like, I want to get an epidural.
Okay.
And the guy in the hospital room, okay, was like, no, you're not allowed to get one. I swear. And he got so mad at her that she wanted to get one. Like she was crying and she was like, I need to get the epidural. Like, please let me get it. Like she was like, please let me get it. And the guy's like, no, you're not getting it. Like if you get it, I'm going to get so mad at you. Okay. So then finally the nurse is like to the guy, she's like, listen, like you need to stop. Like that's her body. It's her baby in there. I know it's your baby too, but like you cannot, you're not going through the pain. So you don't understand.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't care what you say. It's my baby. I don't want my baby pumped up full of drugs and like narcotics and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there like, brother, I wish you would just lay on that bed for 2 minutes. Just experience one contraction. Just one. Not all of them. Just one contraction. Okay. And then they had the doctor come in and he like asked her for her consent and she's like, yes, I want to get it done.
Yeah.
Okay. And the guy was losing it. Like he lost it on the doctor. He's like, no, I said that she can't. I said that she can't get it. I'm telling you. Okay. And then the doctor had to call security to kick the guy out. So she was all alone for her delivery. Okay. And like this guy, I'm sitting there like, you're literally fighting with a doctor and a nurse and your pregnant wife.
Oh my.
Who's about to have your baby. And he's just like, no, like they don't know what they're doing. You know, like she's going to be on narcotics and drugs and like she's going to get high and like, and I was sitting there like, I wish you understood more, you know, and I thought maybe it was his like him being very young, but also him being extremely like extremely out of pocket. And I'm just sitting there like, girl, why are you taking this?
Yeah, I know.
It made me so sad.
That made me sad for her.
Yeah.
Because
she was,
like,
she was
who
getting so
is he?
upset.
Who is he?
Who is he?
Girl, who is you?
Who is
No,
you?
thank
I
you.
was shook. I was like, if that was my child, I would be grabbing him by the ear and escorting him out the door and then
my
going
gosh.
like, I am so sorry. Please deliver your child in peace.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my God. It was so bad.
gosh.
I'm going to send it to you. It was so bad.
Please send it to me because I would be shocked.
You're gonna be
Guys,
shocked.
we've said this before, when you are in that birthing room, you have every right to decide whatever you want to decide.
Yeah.
It's
I
up
agree.
to you.
I agree.
Who you want in the room?
Yeah.
How you want to give birth?
It's not your husband's decision at that
it's
point.
no,
I'm
but
sorry.
you. It's your decision,
it's your
right?
decision.
And if you make something, for example, if you have your birth plan or however you want to deliver, and you change your mind, good for you.
Yeah. You
change your mind. You do what you want to do.
Because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that they have like a certain level of pain, like a threshold that like I can do it. Believe me, I went in there like I can do this. Okay. And I went in there and I was the first one to say, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I cannot do it.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't. Okay. And I am 100%, I will like scream it from the rooftops. I got an epidural, smooth sailing. It was great. It felt great. I will do that because that was my decision and I'm so comfortable with my decision. But if somebody said to me while I was in there dying of pain,
That you're not
no,
allowed to.
Hina, you can't. I would give them the death stare and I would be like, what's near me?
Yeah.
It's about to get thrown your way.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably slap that person because I'm just saying, okay, guys, I'm just saying the way I was in that hospital room,
You're not in your senses.
like मैं होश में नहीं थी, okay? मुझे किसी चीज की समझ नहीं आ रही थी. I didn't know my left from my right.
Yeah,
I didn't know if my
yeah.
clothes were on or off.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was in the room.
Yeah.
All I knew was like, there's pain, and there's pain,
and it's excruciating pain.
It was really, really
Yeah.
bad, okay? And if anybody was in my way, like, you're gonna get slapped.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
gonna get slapped. And guys, honestly, I'd give birth and I probably wouldn't even feel bad after.
Yeah. No.
Because I'd be like, screw you. I just brought life into this world and you wanted
dare
to
you like
tell me how to do
that?
it.
Yeah. And like,
But you know, they say a lot of like these traditional ways of giving birth is a lot of men having this power over how they think women, how they dictate women should be giving birth.
which is like, you've never even gone through
You've never even gone through it.
like I said, you've never even felt like proper
An
cramps.
ounce. Guys, these
Yeah.
stimulators ain't
They
nothing.
ain't it. They ain't it.
Nothing.
Like,
And you're gonna come and tell me how I need to be delivering my baby?
girl, I still remember I was like 2 centimeters and I was dying. Imagine I had actually made it to 10. My losh would be on the floor. Like,
My losh was on the floor.
like, I get it. You know, I think their thing is like, well, back in the day, they didn't have an epidural. Okay. So, like,
Yeah,
what's
back in the day, they didn't have anything. Khalas, okay? We're not having this argument.
yeah, back in the day, they didn't have cars either. So go pull out your horse and
Yeah.
carriage.
Go
and you
walk
start
to the
driving
hospital. Why are we Ubering it then? Back in the day, they didn't have phones. Who are you
That's what
calling?
I'm saying. Okay, but the worst part,
Back in the day, ke bache.
the worst part in all of this was that he's like out there, out of the hospital, smoking his vape. Okay, and the doctor's
Back
like,
in the day, they didn't have no vapes.
but then the doctor's like, so you're telling me that like you don't want her to be pumped full of narcotics, but
And
you're
look
out
at-
here
Look at your thing.
vaping, like, and he's like, yeah, but that's okay. And I'm like,
Who said that's okay? Yo,
Like,
this
I
man is a
cannot.
walking, talking red flag.
He was such a red flag, and I was like, oh my
Jeez.
gosh, like, what happened to you? Like, it was just so wild.
Who
Like,
hurt you,
I was-
fam?
my jaw dropped. I was like, is this normal? Like, this is
Are they still
abnormal.
together?
I have no idea.
Jeez, I need to know now. I need the scoop.
I'm gonna look for this and I'm gonna send it to
Can
you
you
guys.
please?
It was
'Cause
wild. Okay,
This is wild.
I think it was on a TLC TV show.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it was out of control. Like, I was just shaking. Like, oh my god, I'd be so angry.
Okay, just to like give the I know this episode's running
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just to give another example. So this is the total opposite though. Okay, I watched a TikTok where it was somebody's like you know their Nest Cam.
Yeah,
So they had like a camera with their Ring bell or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was a girl's ex-husband. Okay, and he comes with this paper bag full of stuff, drops it off of a front porch, and he's obviously swearing at her because that's the nature of their relationship. And he's like, you know what? This is all the shit that you wanted. There's your Ben and Jerry's, and there's a damn Midol because you're moody and you need it. And he walks away, and I was like, look at that man.
He's the one. Yeah, he's the one. Yeah.
Even if they're separated, he's an ex-husband in this situation, guys, and he still was like, my ex-wife needs this because, and I'm gonna be there for her. So look
That's
at
a nice
that.
thing. That's a nice thing to do.
Let's compare the men because there are men who are ex-husbands who are doing this for their exes, and then there are men whose wives are about to give birth and they're out here dictating how they're gonna give birth. No.
Guys,
The spectrum of men out there.
Oh my goodness, I know. All right, guys. So that was our episode for today. We you know what? We have so many responses. We try to cover a lot, but it's actually good because we're gonna save the responses and use them again for like a part 2, part 3. But first of all, I want to thank you all for sending those responses, and it really means the world to us. Some of you are like, you never read our responses, but guys, we are trying our best. There's so much to go through. There's so much to go through, so we really appreciate it, and we will eventually get to it. I promise. I also want to remind you guys to make sure you guys subscribe to our channel, follow us on all of our socials, give us that 5-star, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.